right. Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? All
And we
right.
still
Yeah.
got people coming in here.
Okay.
So,
Got a
yeah,
response.
the trading day just ended. So I'm sure some people are
We're
just,
getting close to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
wrapping up. Nope. Yeah, it just ended. I just heard the bell. Like just as we
Okay.
started it. Yep. The closing bell rang.
That's
So,
right. And
uh,
what an interesting environment to trade in. There's just a lot of stuff going on. It's I was gonna say, hey, we've seen this movie before, but in kind of different flavors, right? I mean, we've got this supposed AI bubble that a lot of people seem to be talking about.
yeah.
We've got this melting upwards of equities. I haven't really checked too much of the commodities and how they're doing. There's some theories out there that it's actually more of a dollar devaluation that might be going on, because even gold is increasing, so it could be some of that going on as well. But yeah, we're we're
Yep.
we're starting to see it take a bit of a breather, which I think a lot of people expected, myself included, and just sort of kind of waiting to see what
Yeah.
happens. So.
Every movement of froth needs a little settling of that froth. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, the thing is, like, markets just don't go up forever, right? There's going to be
need a
people that at some point be
yeah.
like, all right, I've got to take some profit here.
Time for
And
some digesting. Yeah, those nice gains.
yeah, yeah. So interesting times, though. I think back in the summer, we sort of predicted some volatility. It didn't work out that way, but maybe at least like we thought maybe in the fall, but maybe we're starting to see that volatility come in now. So, but and it's hard to, no one can really say
Yeah,
what predict the future, but
that's why they say never try to pick tops and bottoms because yeah, it's a losing game. Yep.
well, I mean, volatility is fun for traders, right? I mean, provided you're on the right side of it. But I spoke with customers, and some people were, up 20,000 in a day or whatever. It's very exciting to hear that kind of stuff using our software tools. So, uh, yeah, they're clearly a lot of people that are making some good headwind or good, sorry, good money in this kind of environment. So I guess the moral of the story is it doesn't really matter what environment you're trading in or what kind of market conditions, as long as you're prepared and you know what you're doing for the particular market conditions. So, anyways, I can see that people are sort of streaming in. Can you guys see my screen? I should have like basically a title slide up there. It says
Yep.
build an auto
Yep.
trade.
Yep. It's coming in
Good.
good. Yep.
Okay. I'm just gonna start. I'm Jeremy Tang. I'm one of the co-founders of Shark Indicators. With me is Zach White, as you can see,
Yep.
and we've been doing this for quite some time now. We've actually been selling and building these software tools that we're about to show today for over a decade now, through the pandemic, through even Trump one presidency, now we're in the second one. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff. And it's been a very interesting time. Today, however, is like it's there's a really a lot of shifting winds, right? How many of you guys were kind of around, like say the dot-com boom? I'm talking like early 2000s ish. Like have any of you guys been, do you guys remember that? You guys should be able to type in the chat, by the way, if you're, no? Okay. Can anybody hear me? I see one
Well,
yes there, but
yeah, that
I
was
just want to
early
make sure.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should let people chat. There's a bunch of people in here. Yeah, yeah. Victor.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
see it. Okay.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Again, like how many guys were kind of around and trading even during the dot-com boom and bust? This sort of I think there's a lot of people talking about the AI revolution, of course, which is game changing to humanity. I mean, just like the internet was, the AI is sort of, it's almost like it's like a slightly different flavor of the same thing. Because again, that's what we're going to talk a little bit about that, because just like the internet, when it first came on, and now it's basically ubiquitous, right? It's like a tool, and there's some great things it can do, great ways it can enhance productivity, but there's also some limitations to it. And I think it's very important to know kind of where those boundaries are, right? So, like I've been a software developer now for, geez, it's been, since like the 90s, right? And I've seen many different revolutions or evolutions of my trade, my calling, I guess you could say, my craft. change over the years, right? And I've never seen anything change so drastically, at least in my area of my field, such as AI, right? Actually, let me back up a little bit. It's like, okay, so the biggest thing is now we're seeing AI assisted development. I'll just straight out say like I use AI every day very extensively now. It's a fantastic tool to augment kind of my current skill set, right? But we're also seeing this kind of this new type of software development out there that I've seen a lot of called vibe coding. And if you're not familiar with that term, what that is just like, people using AI to sort of write end-to-end code. Uh, even non-coders sort of doing it. I just want to make people kind of aware, right? Like even I will use it to some degree, right? On say side projects. A particular one that I used it very recently for was for front end development on a website for kind of a project that we're working on as well. But it didn't go so well. I'm not a front end developer. I'm not a React developer. I'm not too well versed with JavaScript and the JavaScript libraries, which is a whole different ball game. Even though I've been a developer for a better part of 30 years, I've been mostly in the back end and sort of business logic. And so the front end stuff is a specialty. And so um, I was heavily relying on vibe coding to basically get a front end prototype done. But I was hitting the wall in terms of getting all sorts of little bugs that I could not solve. Even with the help of other experts. And so, the long and short of it is it kind of got us into a tangled mess. We ended up just scrapping it and as using it sort of as a prototype and then hiring a real person that specializes in front end development to simply build it again from scratch. It was actually a lot faster to do it that way. So the irony is vibe coding is good. It'll get you pretty close to what you need. But in development right now, why am I talking about development? Let me back up. I'm talking about it because um, if you're building an auto trader, if that's your goal, you basically got to either code it or maybe use a tool that like ours that we sell, right? So coding it is definitely a way to go. And now with AI assist, there's a lot of people I believe trying it out using vibe coding. And the trick behind vibe coding though is it almost kind of gets you almost there, but not quite, right? Here's an example. And this is quite typical, I find, with sort of ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the models. Like sometimes it gets it right, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's little mistakes that are not too hard to figure out if you're especially if you're well versed with NinjaScript already. But for example, like this, it spat out this code here, and after I sort of gave some criteria and some rules. But immediately there's some issues, right? Some of these methods here are actually NinjaTrader 7, right? Those don't actually exist in NinjaTrader 8. Those are pretty easy to overcome if you know what you're doing. But this one here just completely fabricated this guy here. This one doesn't exist at all. Basically, the long and short is if you want to get the orders and the order price, that's not the way to do it. Um, and so
Wait,
kind of
are
like
you saying AI's hallucinating, Jeremy? Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, and I've come
Infamous
across
hallucinations,
yeah,
yeah.
I've definitely hit a wall many times with AI. In aspects of coding where I'm very well versed with the API or NinjaScript, no problem. I can overcome those and I know what you were kind of doing, right? I can just, go with the flow with that. But in systems like front end development, for example, or maybe configuring an Azure cloud assets and that sort of thing, I can't figure out what's wrong with it to get past that last uh 10%, right? So I like to say, at least for now, right? Vibe coding will take you about 80% of the way there. But for years, I've always known, and if from personal experience, is that last 20% that always takes 80% of the time. It just is. Right. So, in a way, you're still in that software development trap, if you will. And especially if, vibe coding, it's kind of like you have an intern, right? And a really smart one that does whatever you ask it to do. It drops the code in your lap and then says, okay, here you go. And there's some problems that and then you try to ask it to figure it out. And it doesn't quite take you over that finish line a lot of times that I've seen it. Um, The other kind of big weakness I find with vibe coding, say a strategy in NinjaScript, is that it's a little weaker at the order management stuff, right? And especially the exceptions. Things like there's a situation called an overfill situation where you're imagine you're in a long position and then your strategy wants to flip to a short position, but before your software can cancel the orders, your stop losses or profit targets in the long position, they get filled in the meantime, and then your new position gets put onto the broker, and then that order gets filled. So you're actually in a situation where you have more contracts in one direction than you intended, and that's called an overfill. And so those kind of situations, for example, require some expert programming, maybe a state engine or something like that to properly fix. And that's just something that, unless you're even aware of it, and even try to vibe code that kind of stuff, and I don't imagine an AI could effectively take care of a lot of those exceptions, at least without a lot of trial and error. The point is, we've built in stuff like that in our software already, and we've had that for over a decade at this point. The ability to fix, like, internally fix those kind of things and properly keep your trade live while maybe exceptions like that are happening. And especially in trading, there is sort of this the one thing that we found is, like, especially with vibe coding, okay, you can probably generate some signals relatively easy, but it's really that second half that's kind of missing. It's that managing your trade once your trade is on. And for years, we've been sort of touting this idea that, you know, it's actually more than 50% of your success is like in how you manage your trade. And that's incredibly challenging to develop or to code. And that's one of the tenets of what our software is actually mimicking the expertise of a discretionary trader. And what I'm talking about is, like, years ago, Zach and I, we were in this trading room and we saw firsthand, like with our own eyes, like this is long before AI was a thing, right? This is back in early 2010s, and we were following this expert trader who's putting on positions, and just through expertly managing the stop losses and profit targets, he could even take like those bad signals, like signals that were less than optimal, if you will, and somehow eke out a profit a tick of profit, or break even at least, right? And then I realized, yeah, if you can manage even bad trades well, your signals, even your signal quality can be, you know, just subpar. You'll still come out okay. And he was doing things like looking at the chart at the same time, following indicators, and then reacting accordingly with his profit targets and stop losses, like on the fly, right? And that's what an expert discretionary trader can do. And for years we've been basically trying to build that ability into our software to allow you to pre-program and have a plan of execution when some certain things happen on your chart in the middle of a trade. How are you going to tighten your exit so you can try to get out with eke out a tick, or at least a break even or something like that, right? And all that sophistication has been built in, and we've had that in again for many many years. And that stuff is tremendously hard to develop, tremendously hard to code, and I can't even imagine trying to vibe code something like that. So, anyways, that does bring us to, our software. This is we have two pieces of software, Bloodhound and Blackbird. What you're seeing right now is a little glimpse of Bloodhound, which is a node-based, no-code solution allowing you to build your own trading bot using simple nodes, right? And you can use logic. And then the really cool thing about it is, instead of that development cycle where you have to code, or in some cases you're vibe coding, typing in a prompt and whatever, and then importing the code into to NinjaTrader and then compiling it, and then seeing what, you won't get that instant feedback, by the way. You'd have to probably test it out, or maybe vibe code that feedback mechanism in there. So you can see something on the chart, right? But as you can see with our software, it's as simple as just simply putting a node on, plugging it in, and you can see on the charting instantly what kind of signal you're generating. And you can use an eyeball test, and then you can switch it up and try it again. You'll see in a moment kind of what I'm talking about. The point is, it's way, way faster and your mind, your mental connection from the trading, your trading strategy to your results is just it's just a lot narrower, like a lot tight loop. And that's where creativity really you really use your creativity, right? So if you are taking sort of roundabout steps, coding and debugging, you're a little bit more detached from your trading strategy. You're more focused on software development at that point, right? So, um, okay. This is here a shot of the second part of our offering, which is Blackbird. It's basically an auto trade manager, and that's that second 50% of success that I was talking about, like being able to effectively manage your trades, right? Doing something simple like this, where the trailing stop is basically following an indicator, or some in this case like one of these bands, right? That's a very simple thing to do in our software, but we can do a lot of elaborate stuff that you're about to see. And the way we like to put it is, when you're finally done and you configured our software for an auto trader, right? You can actually use it like an autopilot, right? You don't have to just put it on, let it rip, and you can't touch it or something like that. And you can do things like a commercial pilot can do with a commercial jet, which is you can take over anytime you feel like it, right? You can have the auto entries, and then you just jump in, and maybe it's managing it on its own, and then you see something, you're like, okay, I'm gonna jump in there and I'm gonna take over manually, and you can do that anytime with our software, right? And again, those are features that we built into our software for many years, and would be tremendously difficult to that kind of UI interaction to sort of build in in a vibe coding situation or any sort of software development situation. And so this is something that we've worked hard on, is really try to accommodate and have a tool that works the way you want it to work, right? So if you don't like full automated trading, you could switch from manual to automated, back to manual mid trade, right? No problem at all. Um, but anyways, enough of me talking about like what it can do. Let's actually see what it looks like. And for those of you who haven't seen our software before, I'm gonna pass it over to Zach, and he's
All
gonna
right, time for
share his
me to
screen here. Yeah,
earn my keep. Let's
yeah.
see here, folks. Let me get this switched over. Uh, All right. Yeah, you guys should see my screen now. So, yeah. So in showing you kind of Bloodhound and Blackbird, I'm going to take you through kind of, I guess, what we would say is a typical use case, right? So we know that a lot of our customers, and it's probably just a general trader's mindset, is always testing out new ideas, right? And learning about new ideas, because inevitably, right? Maybe, well, whatever, who knows what it is, but maybe one out of every five ideas you look at, right, there's some little piece of information, knowledge that you can gain from it and incorporate it, into your own idea. So I'm going to use, this EMA, CCI, and MACD system here that I found on YouTube. Here we can see it was created by Trader DNA, right, some other company. So I'm going to take this system here and I'm going to build it for you in Bloodhound so you can actually see it live there in action. So essentially what this is I'll explain the system rules here. So price needs to be below your moving average in order to take shorts, right? And also the MACD part, same thing with the MACD. The MACD has to be below zero in order to take shorts, right? So those are your two trend filters there, right? Price above or below your moving average and the MACD histogram above or below, right? Or it could be the MACD, right? Above or below the zero line. Two common, trend filters there. Now the trade trigger is the CCI. So when the CCI crosses the negative 100, then that's your entry point for taking the trade there. Now, like right here, we can see, right, the price is below, and the MACD is kind of below, except sometimes here. So, right, so if you're trading live, sometimes it's hard to see where exactly your indicators lie here. So that's another big benefit of Bloodhound. Is Bloodhound, doesn't actually look at look at it visually, it's looking at the numbers, right? Um, so let's just say, the MACD is below zero here. So the trigger point is the CCI crosses that negative 100, and boom, that's your sell signal, right? And the opposite for buy signals, CCI crosses positive 100, so on and so forth. Now, in this case, where the CCI is really positive, it only needs to cross the zero line, right? So that was one kind of little maybe technique that you might learn from that YouTube video there is, instead of waiting for something like the CCI or whatever other oscillator you might be using, instead of it waiting to go all the way to the other end, maybe enter in a little quicker. So at this point, there's two entry opportunities, either crossing that zero line or crossing the negative there. So that way you're not delaying your entry too long there. Right. So that's the system. And so it's getting Bloodhound open here. Now to save a little bit of time here, I've already built the CCI component here, and I'll just kind of plug that in. And here is probably what I think most of our customers say is the biggest benefit of Bloodhound is this instant feedback here, right? So let me do that again. So if I disconnect this, right, nothing shows up on the chart. And as soon as you connect something, you instantly get to see what you just built. So you get that instant feedback versus like what Jeremy was talking about, that vibe coding, where you got to put the code in, then you got to compile it, then you got to reload the chart, right? All that time, takes time here. Whereas with Bloodhound, you get this instant feedback here. And so here we can see all of those CCI cross points. So here, right, CCI cross negative 100, and then it comes back up, right, crosses the zero line, and then crosses the positive. So there's all those crossover points, right? So those are the actual triggers here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build those two trend filters. All right. And so while I'm doing this, Jeremy's going to kind of elaborate and narrate here for me while I focus on building this.
Yeah. So again, what you're seeing here is the Bloodhound interface. It's the node-based interface, as you can see. But what's really cool about it is you can actually just search for pieces of criteria. For example, right now we're going to compare two indicators. And if you can imagine your own system, you've got some ideas and criteria, you can just plug that in. Um, and any indicator that you've got installed in your system, Bloodhound will recognize it. So in this case, this little window here has got all the indicators on his system right now, and that includes some third-party indicators like from NinjaTrader, which is fantastic. If you've downloaded or perhaps even you coded a few of your own, that's actually another kind of cool addition using vibe coding is you could actually maybe you've got some ideas in terms of an indicator that you want to plug in and then you can you want to take it a step further and add filters to it. Well, a very easy way to do that is vibe code your indicator and Bloodhound will pick it up and recognize it, and then you can add filters like this, right? And even traders actually use this kind of stuff, right? As a setup filter, right? So for example, someone might come up with a setup filter like this, plug it in, paint the chart with green and red stripes, and green tells them, okay, we're good for a possible long trade, and then they discretionarily handpick the times to enter based off of kind of what mode of trading they're going to be in, positive or negative, or sort of long or short. So yeah, very simple to do. Here is going to take the MACD and the Mac. I love a lot of the MACD has got several different plots to it, right? So you can even select a different plot and plug that in as well. Yeah, if you look at how that corresponds in the chart, yeah, all the places where it's below zero. This is just the default settings, right? Because we sort of we sort of try to make those little nodes pick up the most widely used settings, but he can tweak them to have any sort of threshold he wants, right? In the case of the CCI, by the way, he didn't. We're not going to go over and show that, but I'm just going to simply say, yeah, you're not looking at positive or negative numbers of that or below and below zero and above zero numbers in that case. You're actually he actually is looking at the 100 level or minus 100 level. Point is, you can take sort of any indicator, compare it to any arbitrary number you want. Heck, you can even compare it to another indicator. You can compare it to price action. You can compare it to all sorts of other pieces of data. Very easy to plug and play. And then you can combine all this logic. So he just took his CCI logic. Now he's actually combining with the trend filter. And when you put those two together, you're going to get some discrete signals. And so that's one way to filter out signals you want to ignore. And that's a great technique, is just build discrete signals and then build a filter around it. And then you can give it the eyeball test, right? So super fast development, right? Um, in just a few mouse clicks, we've got something on the chart. And this kind of visual feedback we find is absolute critical for just getting the mind working in a state of, okay, what's the best trade system, right? You don't want to be mired in code. You don't want to be a debugging expert, right? Like it's just way more efficient to have your brain thinking, what are the best trades? What are the indicators doing at the times where I want to take those trades? And then translating that immediately uh, to your nodes, your node logic, and then looking back at the chart, seeing if that matches up with what your hypothesis was, and then going through that tight loop, right? Because you're not going to get it on the first try. It's going to take multiple iterations. That's just the way it is, right? And then now you've got it, you can back test it, right? And then you can prove it to yourself it was actually a good system or not, right? So all this capability is unlocked with our software, and it's very fast.
Yeah. So to kind of summarize here, you could spend half of your time, trying to play coder and code, use vibe coding or whatever, and then do the coding work. Or you could spend only a small fraction of your time to working on improving and or developing a new idea, right? So you can see how quickly Bloodhound can help you, experiment and test new ideas without that hassle, or not hassle, but well, yeah, to some it is a hassle, but mostly it's the extreme amount of time it takes to actually write code, so yeah, that's Bloodhound. They're kind of in a nutshell. Well, actually, let me just one last thing here. I didn't really elaborate on this much, but Bloodhound isn't only just for discrete signals. So I think a good percentage of our customers are discretionary traders. They're not automated traders, they're just discretionary. And so they will use Bloodhound to identify trends for them to keep them on the right side of the market here. Now, this isn't a great example because, as we can see, the market's pretty choppy here. So these trends don't last too long. But also, keep in mind, I'm on a 15-minute chart here. But you can't see, though, that Bloodhound is telling you when your two trend filters are aligned, right? So those discretionary traders just use Bloodhound to keep them on the right side of the market there. So when they see green, they know, okay, I should only be looking at long trades and not get emotional and maybe try and scalp out a short trade, right? All those little dangerous emotional trades, you're like, oh man, maybe I could scalp a short right here, right? But with Bloodhound, you can use Bloodhound to keep you on the right side of the market there. So you're not making those little emotional sabotages there to your system or to your trading, to your account. So, all right, so we'll leave Bloodhound like this. And the next part that I'm going to show you here is Blackbird. So let's get that chart up here. There we go. All right. So I built a fairly kind of elaborate system here that I don't think I've really ever heard of any trader doing this per se. But of course I did learn about. I didn't just think this up myself. Where I have a profit target here, and let me kind of get this going so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about here. So all right, so we have the price or the market, breaking above our moving average here. So it looks like we're going to get ready for a long. So let's go long here. All right. So what I was talking about, this system being a little more elaborate and probably something unusual, is I have two profit targets, and they're following this moving average envelope line here, right? And what you're looking for, right, is that extreme pop in the market, right? So it's kind of like this, right? Say maybe you're trading short here, right? You got that pop, and then the market returns to the mean. And that's what I've actually built into both of these profit targets here, where the profit targets are following this envelope line. And then when the first profit target gets hit and it gets filled, then afterwards, the second profit target will pull down and start following that envelope line again, right? Because, again, the theory here is, right, the market likes to make these little pops and then it returns to the mean, right? It makes a pop and returns to the mean. So that's what I've set up here, a little more elaborate, just to kind of show you the sophistication that you can get Blackbird to do, if you want to. Again, I think, still most traders just like to use simple, whatever, 30 tick profit targets, 50 tick profit targets, or a 2 ATR or something like that, but I built this to, specifically kind of show you something really elaborate here. So let me kind of quickly show you here how easy that was to do. So here's, actually, let me back up here, right? So here's our two order sets here, right? Our first profit target and our second profit target there. So let's open this up. And of course, with Blackbird, if you're going to use an indicator there, right, this is where you set the placement. And you just plug in your indicator, right, and select the plot. Just like you saw me with the MACD and Bloodhound, right? You just select your indicator and select what plot you want your profit target to follow there. So, and again, if you're not using an indicator, right, then you could just say, whatever, 30 tick, 50 tick, offset distance for your profit target, or ATR, so on and so forth there. So now the second profit target, as I mentioned, right, it has a rule here where, again, after the first one gets filled, then the second one, after a few bars, so this is how sophisticated Blackbird is after a few bars, and let me speed this up here, get this going. After a few bars, the second profit target waits for 4 bars to go by after the first profit target's filled, right? Because obviously, if you pull this down immediately, right, it's going to get filled as well. So obviously you want to put in a little delay there. And yeah, with Blackbird, you have all that flexibility to put delays, into your order trailing there, or your order management. So there we go. There's our target filled. And I'll slow this down a little bit. So we got 1, 2, we're working on our third bar here. Here's our fourth one. So once that closes, boom. There, right? So now we have the market, right? The theory is, right, the market's going to probably return to the mean there. And while it's returning to the mean, then in the meantime, right, we have our profit target following this same envelope line, waiting for that next little pop-up and price there. So, yeah. So let me take a moment here to also kind of show you the stop losses here. I'm going to speed this up. So the stop losses, right, initially it started off following, let me close this, it started following this ATR trailing stop, right? There's a handful of indicators out there that traders like to use. One of them is the super trend. You might have heard of that one. I think that's probably the most common, is the super trend, but there's some others out there like the chandelier and this ATR trailing stop there. So our stop loss, started off following that, and I offset it by 1 tick. I put it 1 tick below, because another big concern of traders is, right, the market loves to take out your stop losses by a tick, just like right there's a good example, right? The market hit that indicator by the tick, so I offset the stop loss by a tick. Again, to illustrate, right? You have a lot of control over what you're doing here with setting up your trailing stop losses and so forth there. Um, and then, so the next part of this stop loss is after the first profit targets hit, then I said, all right, the stop loss can follow either the ATR trailing stop or the swing lows there as well, right? So whichever one is a little tighter there. So that way, so after, what I hear most common in my workshops here, and let me kind of take this moment here to talk about the workshops here. So what I hear most often is, right, after you get a first profit target hit, right, a lot of traders like to move their stop loss to break even, and then start tightening their stop loss. So that's kind of what I incorporated here in this demonstration here, is doing that. So yeah. So the workshops that I'm talking about. So I actually host these workshops here every week. So for Blackbird, right? So what you're watching right now is Blackbird. Those are on every Friday at noon Eastern there. So if you have questions about Blackbird, you can join me in the room. There's no password. This is open to the public. So all you have to do is just register with Zoom. So these are all Zoom webinars here, and register, and you'll get an email an hour before the workshop there. And if you have questions for Bloodhound there, you're welcome to join me in these workshops, and I will answer your questions live in a live environment there. All right.
Yeah, he's been doing that
Yeah.
for
Just
over
the
a decade.
beginning.
Yeah, since the beginning.
Yeah. Third,
So
third,
yeah,
what, in March, coming this March,
yeah,
14 years.
yeah. It's a
We
great
did
resource. It's free.
14
It's
years?
not like a
Yeah.
trading room or anything like that, but it's
14
super.
years, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, and of course, if
Well,
you can't make these workshops, obviously some people can't make those workshops. Then you're always welcome to email us, whatever questions you have. But probably what's more beneficial than that, like say for example, I think the most common question we get here, for new people is, hey, I got this trading idea. Does that Can Bloodhound handle that? And can Blackbird handle what I'm already trading? Right. So if you want to get answers to those more detailed questions there, then what you can do is go to our website here, our homepage, click on the free trial there, and here's an option to schedule a private consultation, right? So you can meet with Keith and talk to him about how you're trading, and he can evaluate that and let you know if Bloodhound and or Blackbird, is a good fit. Not what's the word? Can help you out. Is a good fit with complement your trading system there, right? So there's a way to get a private consultation, right? Just fill in your name, email, and phone number, and Keith will give you a call back. And yeah, and also once you click the get the trial, it'll take you to a scheduler, and it'll allow you to schedule whatever time works best for you to schedule that private consultation there. So after you click the button there. So, all right. So we have lots of resources there to help you learn about Bloodhound and help you get going and get you the training that you need, right? And there we go. So, obviously I kind of planned this out. But the market does do this a lot, right? It'll pop up, it'll consolidate, and it'll pop up again. And there's our second profit target hit. So now,
very nice.
yep. So
Actually,
there you
Zach, I
go.
want to show there's some pretty cool features that we built in as well to help with money management and risk management. In particular for those of you guys that like to trade with the prop firms, right? So you can I know prop firms they kind of have some what do you say restrictions or parameters that you need to trade within. things like, setting the max profit or max loss for the day, ensuring that you'll never kind of go below a certain threshold, right? Otherwise, you might fail the test. And also, a lot of people find it ideal to set max profit targets. And I'm talking for your account, right? Not just for a single trade, but for throughout the day, right? So if you're up $2,000, for example, this thing will be like, okay, I'm good for the day. Let's walk away happy. No need to push it, right? And that's a great way to sort of
Yeah.
keep your
These
consistency
are,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are daily metrics there, right? Which fit in with prop firm trading. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, one thing that we hear is that prop firms don't like to see this huge variation in the profits for the day. They like to see consistency. So one thing we've heard is, say like if your minimum profit, for the day is $1,000 there, then what they like to shoot for is either 1,100 or maybe 1,200 and then call it a day. So that way they have those consistent 1,100, 1,200 profits for the day. And the prop firm isn't seeing 2,000 one day, right? 900 the next day, and then, back up to 1,800, whatever it is. So this can help you kind of set those consistent levels that those prop firms like to see there. Now,
Yeah.
and
We
then
also
also
have
we
this
have this
this
daily watermark
yeah.
here that Jeremy will, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Zach. We're stepping over each other. But yeah, we like if you haven't heard of a watermark, it's a really cool feature that a lot of professional traders and hedge fund managers will use. It's basically think of it like a stop loss for your account, right? So the whole motivation behind this is say you're up a certain amount of money. So say in this case $1,000, right? Wouldn't it be horrible if you walked away at a loss at this point, right? You want to walk with something. I mean, it may not be $1,000, but you could set that number, for example, in this way he's got it right here, it's going to be once you're at $1,000, you've reached that threshold, and you want to keep walk away with something for the rest of the day. You set it at 50%, and that'll get you out before you lose before they'll guarantee that you're going to walk with $500 for the day, right? And so the whole point is, when you're up, stay up, right? And you might not hit your max profit. You might not be out at your highest point of the day, but at least you'll walk away with something positive, right? And that's what the daily watermark is. It's very similar to like a stop loss, but for your account. And so these are great little features that we've built in. And again, we've had them for quite some time now, and a lot of people use them to maintain that consistent equity curve, to maintain consistent results day in, day out. And that's really the key to success is consistency.
Yeah. No. And then if your goal here, your holy grail goal is to build a full auto trader, right? Then another key component here is so I'm on oil here. So I set up this scheduler here to block out when the oil inventory report comes out, right? So oil traders, very few of them, most of them prefer not to trade during that volatile part of the oil inventory report there, right? And also you want to kind of give the market some time to digest that report to figure out, where is it going to go for the rest of the day there. So with the scheduler there, you can tell Blackbird what times of the day it's allowed to trade here, right? So this is, obviously the market RTH hours there, 9:30 to 4 Eastern time there. And you can cut out, whatever time of day you want. So let's say you have a system there and you noticed, over time that it doesn't do too well on Friday afternoons for whatever, I'm just making something up here. Well, there you go. You can clip out like the last 2 hours of Friday, and cut out kind of, so if you see a pattern here where your system there isn't doing too well on a particular day, yeah, you can just clip that out, or maybe it's Monday morning, that volatility of Monday morning, you can just clip that out there, so Blackbird's not trading that during the part of the day there. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and there's lots of other little bells and whistles as well here. So, but we know you guys
Yeah.
are short on time and yeah. So,
Okay, I
so
gotta
with
wrap
that,
up, guys.
yeah.
Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cough. Do you guys see my slide again?
Let's see. No, I think you need to take over the screen sharing.
Yeah, all right, let's try that again. Share. How about now? It says I'm sharing. Maybe you gotta stop yours, Zach. That might be the case.
All right. Yeah, let me kill mine there and
I'll kill mine as well. Try it again. Zoom always gets us a little bit. They sort of have at least the buttons jump around on me a fair bit. So replace current share.
there we go. All
Whoop.
right. Yep. Actually, it was sharing both of us.
Yeah, I think it
Something
was.
something new in Zoom. Yeah, didn't
Yeah,
realize they upgraded it. That's cool.
you can do that now. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So we can
Man,
see
when
your
we
screen.
started, it was go to meeting, and do you remember? Then we had Omnovia. No one's probably even heard of that. NinjaTrader was on Omnovia. So even the evolution of the streaming software, the sharing or the video conferencing software has changed quite a lot since we started. Here's a summary, basically, of all the, the help resources that we offer. Again, Zach did touch upon the live workshop, which again is it's a really great resource. It's free for either you're evaluating the software or if you're actually a user already. We also have private one-on-one training. I want to point that out for those of you that need sort of that white gloved approach and maybe don't want to disclose what part of your system that you're trying to build. So that's a great resource. And we have a fair bit of customers that take advantage of that. And there is an hourly cost for that's on our website as well. So I'm going to go into, I'm just going to wrap up by saying, all right, so in terms of pricing, right? Uh, we've positioned it pretty aggressively, right? We're basically the cost of a good day of trading, and you got to sort of ask yourself what is a good day? What is that worth to me in terms of my time and whatnot, right? So, um,
And being successful. Yeah, for the
yeah,
rest of your
yeah.
trading career.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
like AI is definitely a game changer.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the same sort of themes applies even though since we've been sort of selling our tools, and that's sort of like, do you want to spend more of your time and your thought and your brain processing, debugging code, uh, versus in the mindset of reiterating and improving your trading system, right? And so, um, so again, for the cost of, I would say, a decent trading day, you can own our software, and those are the two pieces there: Bloodhound and Blackbird. Again, Bloodhound was the signal generator with the node interface, and Blackbird was that strategy that showed that basically
Uh,
in the second half of the demonstration, where you can manage the orders and you can do all those fancy things, your profit targets and stop losses, risk management rules, money management rules, daily targets, and et cetera, et cetera. That's really the part we see as a game changer for a lot of traders in terms of their success. And not only that, you can take that sort of stuff and then you can actually use it to backtest. And recently, even the last fall, we just introduced the ability to optimize it. So I'm not going to get into that, but that's another really exciting feature. If that means anything to you, then hopefully that excites you. But it is Black Friday, guys. So again, we do offer both products in a bundle, and we're going to be taking prices down for Black Friday. In particular, we're going to have a really attractive offer for our bundle. 14.95 for both products. Basically the cost of Blackbird alone. And we do offer a 30-day 100% money back guarantee if you're not satisfied or you decided, was something that that didn't work out for you. No problem. Just let us know within 30 days. And yeah, we can undo the transaction. That's something that actually no software company really does except us. But we've been doing it for over a decade and it's worked out well for us. And that's because we really stand by our products and our software and our offering. So uh that's where you can take advantage of the Black Friday sale. Black Friday is always a really exciting time. I always love just perusing deals and stuff like that. Sometimes I wait literally till this time of the year to purchase what I've been waiting for. Uh, so anyways, yeah, you go here. You can go to the sale button right here, and that'll take you right to our Black Friday sale. And those are the prices that I pointed out. Yeah, so if
Okay.
you're interested in taking advantage of that, definitely hit us up on our website, sharkindicators.com/Black Friday. All right.
And
That
how
yeah,
long is that sale going on, Jeremy?
till the end of the month. So we'll extend it a couple days,
All
because
right. So
who knows if
you got some
you're
time. Good.
yeah,
Good.
if those of you
Yeah.
that are busy with family stuff and whatnot, and don't leave it to the last minute though. That really stresses my staff out. Just the idea of having to process last minute orders on the weekend. And also like we always get the
Yeah.
occasional person that's just like the day after. Can I please get it?
Yeah, no,
That
Yeah.
a lot of there's always that one person who buys at like 11:55 on November 30th.
yeah.
But no, don't worry about the weekend. I'll be here all weekend because this is the busiest time of the year because a lot of traders not only thinking about the discounts because if you think if you're a proficient or will be a proficient trader, these prices should be considered a drop in the bucket long term. Like if they're obvious for you, they're already an obvious price. But the question comes down to what is going to happen in 2026. What are we looking forward to? What opportunities are we seeing in the market that normal people are seeing as fearful things or great changes that we can look in the markets and capture, but it's increasingly challenging to do that because of the speed and of the market. The psychology of the market is changing, and so using tools like these allowing us to look forward and say, okay, how do I plan to trade? Let's pre-plan those actions and start automating. And so a lot of people right about this time of year are starting to think about that future, and it just so happens to be during Black Friday, which is awesome. So yeah, come on in. November 30th is the last day to take advantage of the sale.
Yeah.
I do want
Keith.
to say one more thing, actually. Just I so because we did have somebody asking, hey, would it be nice to back test and whatnot immediately? Of course, if you really think about it, I just want to point out if you want to back test, you actually do need an auto trader, right? You need to tell the computer when you're going in, when you're going on, how those trades are being managed, and even daily, like what days are going to be trading, what hours are going to be trading. Those are all, of course, programmable in Blackbird. But uh, a lot of people actually use this as a research tool, right? To research market conditions and how would I trade in this particular market condition, right? And then you can sort of test out your trading ideas that way. And not only that, not only back testing, but you can optimize it. And if you haven't, if you're just vaguely aware of what that term is, we did a fantastic webinar back in the fall talking about optimization. I'd highly recommend just checking it out. There's some incredibly exciting stuff you could do with optimizations. It's basically, think of it as like you can test 10,000 systems in minutes, right? And you can vet ones that are really good for the market conditions that you think might be happening going into next year. Okay, yeah. Is there any questions from the audience? And if there isn't, we can sign off. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah.
Well, I guess yeah, we'll hang out here for another minute or two to see if there's any other questions there.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
questions that
yeah.
came in pretty much were answered by what you guys were talking about. So yeah, I think
Oh,
we're
good.
pretty
Okay.
covered. But um,
Great.
yeah,
Well,
like Jeremy was saying, the important thing that a lot of people don't think about with backtesting until they start to actually go through the process is like, I need to actually decide when to enter the trade. So a lot of people just think about the trade management side, say, okay, how will my stop losses behave, right? But when to get into the trade is a key component, and that was the bloodhound. That was what Zach was showing first, is the signals. Once you have both sides of that equation hammered down, that's when you can start running tests and increasing the sort of dial up the pace of testing. You say, okay, I'm going to test this, evaluate, tweak. Okay, I'm going to optimize this. try a bunch of variants of my system and see which one tends to do the best. So, but you got to lay that foundation, and these tools are meant to help you lay that foundation first. Then you can get rolling quickly.
Okay, guys.
Any other questions? All right. I think
Well,
people are getting ready for Thanksgiving. Just don't miss this. Remember, there's a free trial. It will feel kind of truncated because you say, okay, well, it says it's a 30-day trial, but the sale ends November 30th. That's a big reason why we offer a 30-day return policy as well. It's not just because we stand behind our products, because we only want people to keep it if they're actually excited and happy about their purchase, but so that you don't feel like, okay, I got the trial, but I really wanted to take advantage of the sale. You can take advantage of both. And if you're not happy, return it. We don't get a lot of refunds though, which is a really good sign, but we always honor it. Yeah. Zach, someone's asking, Doug is asking about the Blackbird template you created today.
Yep, of course. Yeah. I know our existing customers always love to play around with whatever I build for these sales webinars. So yeah, those templates will be up at least by tomorrow. So I'll try and get them up today, but they'll at least be up on the website by tomorrow. So
yeah, and that does go into the downloads area. Feel free to also just email us if you want us to send you the link to that. No big deal.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah, Doug's I think Doug's a regular. I recognize the name.
Yes. Yeah. I recognize his name.
He's in your workshops.
He's in the workshops. Yeah.
We have a couple like that basically followed us through over a decade. So
We've got some passionate regulars for sure.
That's awesome to see that kind of loyalty.
Terry's a regular. Yeah, I recognize Terry.
Bob Roast as well. Yeah. All right,
yeah,
guys.
Yep. All right.
Thank you guys.
Everybody have a good Thanksgiving week. Yeah. So, and enjoy the families. And so for the regulars in the room, obviously there's no workshops this week because of Thanksgiving. So I'll see you guys the following week. So this week, enjoy family, Thanksgiving, and get-togethers and whatnot. And I'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah.